everyone, welcome back to Education Experts. I am Bharti Sharma, your spoken English educator. Today I welcome you all in this next part of tenses series which is based on present perfect tense, right? So today we will be discussing present perfect tense in advanced level. So let's get started. All right. First, we will discuss about the definition of present perfect tense. What does the definition says? It says, it is a tense used in present to indicate the action that has taken place at some specific time. Right? So basically, when we are talking about any action that is indicating that the action has taken place at some specific time. At that time, we use present perfect tense, right? It uses auxiliary verbs and use past participle for the main verb, right? So जैसे कि there is a verb plus ed, that means we will be always using third form of the main verb. I hope this is clear for you. Now let's see some examples of it. He has completed his homework. So we have used completed, means verb plus ed. This is what we are talking about, right? It uses auxiliary verb plus past participle for the main verb. So what is the main verb over here in the sentence? It is complete, right? So we have uses complete, that is verb plus ed, completed. So he has completed. Has over here is auxiliary verb, right? He has completed his homework. Next up we have is I have watched this movie before. I have watched this movie before. He has read various books, various kind of books. He has read various kind of books. So basically read over here is your third form of the main verb. So it becomes read, 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 right? He has read various kind of books. Next up we have is we have watched movies in the Cineplex. We have watched movies in the Cineplex. Cineplex is what? PVR cinemas, where we have watched movies. We have watched. Again, I have helped him to do the task. The poet has written romantic poems. Now you must be thinking that we have not used ed. I'm saying you generally we used ed, but where it should not be used is we can how can we use that, right? So third form of the right is written. Right, wrote, written. So written would be the correct one. The poet has written romantic poems. He has worked in New York for a long time. I have written articles on different topics. They have played, again play plus ed. They have played football. He has gone, again we cannot use goed, G-O-E-D, of course not, right? So whatever the past participle of the main verb, it should be goes like that, right? If the participle goes with the ed last, in the last we have used ed, so then it will goes like with ed. If we cannot use ed with the past participle, if they have some other past participle of the main verb, then we have to use that only, no? Right? Next up we have is you have shopped in the market. He has taken coffee. Took, take, took, taken. Write, wrote, written. Go, went, gone. So these are the words that does not ends with ed, and that's totally normal. What we generally wants to say, what we actually wants to say is that we have to use third form of the main verb. Otherwise, your sentences should be like that. Auxiliary verb plus third form of the main verb. I hope this is clear for you. Whenever we will talking about perfect tenses, in any perfect tenses, right? Doesn't matter if it is past or if it is future or if it is present. Whenever we're talking about any perfect tense, then we have to use third form of the main verb. That you have to keep it in mind. Rest of the auxiliary verbs will change according to the time period. Like if it is present, then you have to use has or have. If it is past, then you have to use had. And if it is future, then we have to use accordingly. I hope this is clear for you. Now let's move forward and understand uses of present perfect. All right, now let's get started understanding what are the uses of present perfect tense. So first one we have is action which started in the past and still continuing, right? At this time period we use present perfect tense, right? If the action has started in the past. For example, if I should tell you that I have started the tenses series in the past. I started the tenses series in the past, and we have completed two types of tenses, which is present indefinite and present continuous, right? And now I'm teaching you present perfect tense. So this is not completed. The tenses series is not completed yet, right? It has to be completed after we will be completed with future perfect continuous tense. That at that point of time period we will be done with this. But right now we are in the process of it. We have not completed yet. So this is the perfect example for this particular use of it, right? So the action which is started in the past. What was the action? We have started tenses series and are still continuing. Clear? Let's see some examples of it. I have lived in Mumbai since 1995. That means I started living in Mumbai in 1995 and I'm still living over there only. Clear? So it means you're still living in Mumbai. Clear? Next up we have is she has worked in the university since 1994. That means she has started working in the university in the 1994 and she's still continuing. She's still working in the university. Clear? So she started working in the university in 1994 that I told you, and she's still working. That's I've told you, right? I hope this is clear for you. Let's understand the another use which says when the time period referred to has not finished, right? Whatever the time period we are referring to has not finished, at that time we use present perfect tense. How? I have worked hard this, right? So the time period was this week. The time period we are referring over here in this sentence is this week. I have worked hard this week. Next up we have is it has rained a lot this year. It has rained a lot this year. We haven't seen her today. We haven't seen her today. All of these sentences are referring to the time period that has not finished. I hope this is clear for you. I hope both of the uses of present perfect tenses are definitely clear for you. Now let's move forward and understand some other uses. Alright, now let's understand another use of present perfect tense which says action repeated in an alright, now let's understand another use of present perfect tense which says action repeated in an unspecified period between past and now. Right? So when the time period is unspecified, right? The action period is past, between the past and the now. That time we use present perfect tense. How? We have eaten at the restaurant many times. She has visited them frequently. It has happened several times already. They have seen that film 6 times. If you see all of these sentences more closely, you will look at the time period which says many times, frequently, or several times already, and 6 times. All of these time phrases, do all of these time phrases referring to any specific time period? Obviously not, right? We cannot assume, we cannot tell you assuredly what is the exact time period. It's like it's the time between the past and the now, right? So this is how you can say whenever we're talking about the actions which is repeatedly, right? Obviously if you see the look at the sentence, we have eaten at that restaurant many times. Many times means obviously the action has repeated a lot of times, right? And the unspecified time period, and between the past and the. So I hope this is clear for you. Now let's move forward and understand another type. Another use which says actions completed in the very recent past. Very recent past means when you add just in the sentence, right? At that time we use present perfect tense. How? Let's see some examples of it. Let's see some examples of it. Has he just left? Has he just left? So we are telling you about just very recent time period, and that's why we have used just over here. Has he just left? Have you just finished work? Have you just finished work? We have just seen her. We have just seen her, right? I have just eaten. So when you are using, when you are adding the word just in a sentence, that means that action is completed in the very recent time period, right? And this is how you can show the present perfect tense. I hope this is clear for you. Let's move forward and understand some other uses of present perfect tense. Alright, now let's understand another use of present perfect tense which says when the precise time of the action is not important or not known, right? So, when we're talking about any time of action, right? And we doesn't really care about the precise time, what is the accurate time, or if it is not known, it doesn't matter, right? How? Let's see some examples. She has studied Japanese, Russian and English. So we are talking about that she has studied these 3 languages. When she has studies, doesn't really matter. This is how you can use. Have you seen Gone with the Wind? Have you seen Gone with the Wind? When have you seen? Doesn't matter. Someone has eaten my soup. Someone has eaten soup. All of these phrases, all of these sentences doesn't care about the precise time of the action. It just think that we are telling you about the time period. The action doesn't care about the time period, right? All right, now do not use present perfect with particular time expressions. When I have used not in capital letter means you have to keep it in mind. Do not means to never use present perfect with particular time expressions. What are the particular time expressions that we cannot use present perfect tense? These are yesterday, 2 years ago, last month, when I was a kid, or when I lived in Gujarat, at that moment, that day, one day. These with these time expressions. What does this mean? This means all of these time expressions are telling you exact or accurate time of the action. Right? With these time period, we do not use present perfect tense. Where do we use then? You can use present perfect tense with unspecific expressions. Unspecific expressions like ever, once, several times, never, already, many times, so far, yet, and a lot more. Right? When the specific time expression is not specified, that time we use present perfect tense. How? Astronauts have traveled to the moon. Astronauts have traveled to the moon. Does this sentence tell you when does it happen? Or what is the accurate time period? Obviously not, right? That's why we're using it in present perfect tense. Next up we have is there have been many wildlifers on Amazon. Next up, I think I have met her once before. Once, right? I think I have met her once before. We have seen that video 10 times. We have seen that video 10 times. They have not traveled to Jupiter. They have not traveled to Jupiter. So you have to keep it in mind if you are clear with the particular time expressions. At that time, we should not use present perfect tense. But if you are talking about any unspecified time period, then you can use present perfect tense. So keeping it in mind, let's move forward, and we are done with the uses of present perfect tense. Let's move forward and get into deeper level on present perfect tense. Now we have to discuss some rules for using present perfect tense. Yes, there are some rules that you have to keep it in mind. Clear? So what are they? Let's discuss it one by one. First up we have is whenever we're talking about experience, right? How we can make a use of the present perfect for describing our experience. For instance means for example, I have the experience of 10 years working in that company. So I'm telling about my experience of working in this particular company at this particular profile. You're telling about experience. That time you can use present perfect tense. Similarly, this sentence can also be used to say that you have never had a particular experience. Obviously, it doesn't matter that you have a particular experience or you don't have, right? But if you're talking about any experience, whether you have it or don't have it, then you can use present perfect tense. We do not use a present perfect tense for describing a particular event, right? Let's see some examples. I have never been to London. I have never been to London. That means I don't have any experience to be in the London, obviously, right? I'm telling you, I have never ever been to London. So this is my experience again, right? Through this sentence, you will say that you have not had the experience of visiting. That's why I've told you. Next up we have is, I think I've seen that movie before. I think I have an experience of seeing that movie before. So I'm telling about my experience that I think I have seen that movie before, right? So that how you can use it. She has never traveled by bus. She has never ever get the experience of traveling by bus. Clear? Tia has studied 6 foreign languages. Tia has studied 6 foreign languages. That means she has experience of learning 6 foreign languages. I hope this is clear for you. Next rule we have is change over time. Present perfect is also used to denote the change that has occurred over a certain period of time, right? So, like with the time, you are changing. So, when you're talking about the time and you're changing according to the time, at that time we use this particular type of sentence, right? You have grown since the last time I saw you, right? You have grown up. Like I've just given you the same example before also. Maybe after a long time, one of your relative comes to your house and sees you, and what do they say? They should have said, or they must have said a lot of times, if you can connect with me, if you can relate with me, that you have grown since the last time I saw you, right? I saw you. Next up we have is my English has significantly improved. My English has significantly improved since I moved to Australia. Next up we have is achievements. This is the next rule. While talking about the achievements, we use present perfect tense. The use of present perfect is also done to the list of the achievements of people and humanity. But you cannot mention a particular time. Then there is another exception. If you're talking about your achievements, that's fine, but you cannot mention a particular time, right? Like example, man has walked on the moon. Man has walked on the moon. That's an achievement, obviously. But we're not talking about the particular time. When does the man walked on the moon? We're not talking about that. We cannot and we should not use that. You have to keep it in mind. Next up, we have our son has learned how to sing. Right? With this sentence also, you should have noticed that we are not mentioning a particular time period. I'm just telling you our son has learned how to. I hope this is clear. Let's move forward. All right. Now, next rule for present perfect tense is uncompleted action you are expecting. We use the present perfect to tell about an action which we are expecting but has not happened yet. Using the present perfect tense, we'll suggest that you are still waiting for the action to occur, right? So we have, for example, we have decided that action will be happening, but that is an uncompleted action. You are expecting that this action will be completed at this particular time period, but it does not complete it the with your expectation, right? So this is how you can use present perfect tense. If you are thinking an action which will be completed in the expected time period and it is not completed according to that expectation, at that time we can use how Rohit has not completed his project yet. Maybe Rohit has expected by himself that he will be completed this project by the next month or by this particular time period, whatever the time period is, right? But he has not completed the project yet. So you can use this particular thing in this present perfect time by not telling the particular time period, but you can tell it about the action that has not completed, right? So Rohit has not completed his project yet. Next up we have is Rajesh has still not reached. Rajesh has still not reached. Riya hasn't mastered Tamil, but she can communicate, right? The action has not completed yet that you are expecting, but you can use this thing in present perfect tense. Next up we have is multiple actions at different times, right? At that time you can use present perfect tense. Present perfect tense is also used to talk about multiple different actions that have happened in the past and different times. It suggests the process is not completed and there is a possibility of more actions. How? The army has attacked the neighboring country 3 times, right? Multiple actions at different times, right? Next up we have had 2 competitions and 4 events so far this year. So there are multiple actions again at different times. I hope this is clear for you. Let's move forward and now understand sentence structure of present perfect tense. Let's quickly jump into the sentence structure for affirmative sentences, and I know that you already know the sentence structure. Let's get into it and revise it again. Subject. If your subject is in the plural form, that means I, you, we, they, that time you have to use have. Clear? Have. Subject, have. We3, obviously I've told you, I'm not going to repeat this again and again, that whenever we're talking about perfect tenses, you have to use third form of the main verb. Clear? Rest of the things will definitely change according to the time period, according to the structures, according to the tense, type of tense, right? But V3 is definitely going to same for perfect tense, and similarly ing will definitely remain for continuous or progressive, right? That you have to keep it in mind. So if your subject is plural, then you have to use have, and if your subject is singular, then you have to use has. I hope this is clear for you. So let's see some examples of it. These are the examples that we have to use, right? I, again, I is your plural subject. That's why I have used have with it. I have already prepared again, third form of the main verb. I've already prepared breakfast. Next up we have is my sister has cleaned the room. My sister is a singular person. That's why I have used has with it. Clean, third form of the clean would be cleaned. My sister has cleaned the room. Next up we have is it has rained a lot lately. I have seen her before. I have seen her before. She has watched this movie several times. The lyricist has written realistic songs. Next up, I have helped him to do the task. I have watched a cricket match on television. So if you noticed all of these things, if your subject is singular, we have used has, and if your subject is plural, then we have used have. Rest of the sentence structure is exactly same according to the sentence structure. I hope this is clear for you. Now let's move forward and understand negative sentence. All right, let's quickly jump into the negative sentence structure. So your structure would be again exactly the same. You just have to put not after the auxiliary verb. Let's quickly jump into the examples and quickly read it out. I have not quarreled with you. Quarrel means to fight, right? So I've not fought with you, you can say, or you can say I have not quarreled with you. Both are the correct thing. I have not solved 20 questions so far. I haven't solved the 20 questions so far. Let me repeat myself again. I have repeated myself a lot of times by telling you that you cannot use contraction forms while writing, especially if you're writing in any formal manner. If you're writing any mail or anything, letter, whatever thing is, especially if it comes to formal writing, then you cannot use contraction forms. You can use contraction forms in informal writing, or especially if you're speaking, right? Then you have to keep it in mind. Clear? Chaliye, let's move forward. And my mother has not prepared the dinner yet. I'm sorry, prepared word is missing over here. My mother hasn't prepared the dinner yet, you can say, or you can say my mother has not prepared the dinner yet. Next up we have is we have not received any mail since we were retired. I have not made the coffee yet. I haven't made the coffee yet. You have shopped in that market. You have not shopped in that market. You haven't shopped in the market. I'm sorry, not over here again is missing. I haven't been elected yet. I haven't been elected yet. You haven't heard from him. You haven't heard from him. He hasn't done his homework, and we haven't studied for the exam. That is inappropriate, right? You should study for the exam, obviously. Otherwise, you might get fail, right? I hope this is clear for you. For the negative sentence, this is clear for you. Let's move forward and understand interrogative sentence. All right, now let's understand interrogative sentence structure. Let's jump into the rule. So this would be the rule. You just have to put auxiliary verb before the subject. That's what we do in interrogative sentence structures, obviously. Has, have plus subject, third form the main verb, object, and the question mark. What is the example? These are the examples. Have you ever seen her before? Have you ever seen her before? Basically, you have to use have with what? Very good. Plural subjects, and has with singular subject. Very good. Right? So we count you and I in what? Very good. Okay? We count that you and I in plural subjects. So, have you ever seen her before? Have you ever seen her before? Has she watched this movie several times? Next up we have is, has he saved any money until now? Has he saved any money until now? Have they gone finishing this weekend? Next up we have is, Have I been called? Have I been called? Next up, has he been arrested? Have we missed the bus? Have you had enough time? Have you been to Costa Rica? Has she visited London? Have you ever eaten pizza before? And last up we have is, have they ever played chess? Right? All right. Before getting you anything make you understand, let me tell you the pronunciation of pizza. Again, I have heard a lot of people, my students, pronouncing this as pizza or pizza. It's not pizza, it's not pizza, it's pizza. Pizza, pizza, pizza. Clear? So, have you ever eaten pizza before? Tell me, have you ever eaten pizza before? I have eaten a lot of times, obviously. Clear? So, now what you have to keep it in mind is the structure only. If your subject is plural, you have to start the sentence with have, and if your subject is singular, then you have to start the sentence with has. I hope this is clear for you. Let's move forward and understand interrogative negative sentence. All right, next up we have is interrogative negative sentences. In interrogative negative sentences, the whole sentence structure would be exactly same. You just have to put not after the subject. Next up we have is, these are the examples of negative interrogative sentence structure. So I hope you have already clear with the interrogative sentence structure. So I'm going to read it out for you all. If there is anything that is need to be explained, that I'm going to obviously explain to you. Has your mother not cooked the dinner? Has. Again, your mother is a singular person. That's why we have used has. Has your mother not cooked the dinner? Next up, have we. We over here is a plural subject. We have used have. Not, because we are talking about negative interrogative. Received, because we are using perfect tense. Then we have to use third form of the main verb. Receive, received, received. Clear? Have we not received any mail? Any mail is the object, and rest of the things are your other words. Have we not received any mail since we were retired? Have you not made the coffee? Have you not made the coffee? Another thing that you have to keep it in mind while you are speaking, the expression part. Your question should always feels like that you are actually questioning. Clear? Next up, have you not eaten these plums? Have you not ever been to London? Has she not visited London? Has Tina not sung this song before? Have they not ever played chess? Right? So this is your sentence structure for interrogative negative sentences. I hope this is clear for you. Let's move forward and understand our last slide of this particular present tense. What is it, which is based on double interrogative sentences. So this is your sentence structure for positive and negative sentences. Right? For positive sentences, your structure would be WH, family, has, have, subject, V3, object, question mark. And for negative, you just have to put not after the subject. Right? Let's see, directly jump into the examples. So these are your examples. Why hasn't Laura arrived? Why hasn't Laura arrived? This is your negative double interrogative, right? Next up, her car has broken down. So maybe the reason. Next up, where have they gone? Where have they gone? Why haven't you finished the work? Why haven't you finished this work? I have been busy. This could be the answer. What have you made for dinner? What have you made for dinner? How much has he won? How much has he won? Next up, last up, where have you been? Where have you been? At school. So what you have to keep it in mind, there's a difference between interrogative and double interrogative. In interrogative sentences, the answer mostly comes out in yes or no. And in double interrogative, the answer always have to be given in the explanation parts, right? So I hope this is clear for you. I hope you're done with present perfect tense as well. And every doubts of yours is definitely now clear for you. So thank you so much for watching this video till the end. I'm going to meet you in my next video. Till then, stay connected and be happy.